Well, there's a lot of news to talk about. An investigation announced today into the FBI's October surprise of Hillary Clinton's emails, a moment the Clinton camp says may have cost her the White House. Let's discuss now. Academy Award-winning director Mr. Michael Moore is here. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't get anywhere near me because you know.
I've watched you the last 3 nights, and I actually started feeling sick just watching you on TV.
It's important. These are crazy times. I have to be here, sick or not.
So you're just going to show up and infect the rest of CNN?
No. I don't get. But I'm like the mailman.
Right.
Rain, sleet, snow, or shine,
that's
or sickness.
Seriously, it's commendable. And by the way, my agent actually promised me tonight. He negotiated with Jeff Zucker that there would be a little clock. Where is it? Right over there, right down here.
We got a lot to talk about.
There's supposed to be a clock there that says 2 hours and 22 minutes until interview with Michael Moore.
Okay, we did that, and you're on now.
Oh, because I'm on. That's why that clock's on.
So now we put the First Lady up there.
I feel better now. All right.
So let's talk about this, because we touched on a little bit of this before the election. You predicted, I think it was on this show, that he was going to win, and you told me why. And then this whole fake news thing, right, which you're on social media, and you see that. Did you see the press conference yesterday?
I did.
Let's play a moment and then we'll talk about it.
I watched it twice.
Since you are attacking our news organization, can you give us a chance?
Your organization
You are attacking our news organization.
Your organization
Can you give us a
is
chance
terrible.
to ask a question, sir?
Go ahead.
Sir, can
Quiet.
you state,
Quiet.
Mr. President-elect,
Go ahead.
can you state
She's
categorically,
asking a question. Don't
Mr.
be rude.
President-elect, can you give us a question?
Don't be
You're
rude.
attacking us. Can you give us a question?
Don't be rude.
Can you
No,
give
I'm
us
not
a
gonna give you
question?
I'm not going to give you a question.
Can you state categorically?
You are fake news.
Sir,
go ahead.
Can you state categorically that nobody... No, Mr. President-elect, that's not appropriate.
Wow.
What'd you think?
Now that's the 3rd time I've seen it. It's amazing that the sort of inventor of this decade's main fake news story, that our president was not born in the United States, could be pointing at a CNN reporter, accusing him of fake news. I mean, really, he talks like a 12-year-old. I guess if Jim Acosta was also a 12-year-old, he could have said back, "Takes one to know one."
Well, I said,
I know you are, but what am I?
Yeah, what if he had said, you know, which is his big concern about the legitimacy of his president? If Jim had said, well, people say you're a fake president, that would have, you know, because once you start name calling, then all bets are off. I'm glad Jim took the high road, but he could have easily said something like that.
An even higher road would have been for the next reporter.
That's what I said.
Did you say this on the air?
I said that last night. The next reporter should have said, I yield my time to Jim Acosta, or just restate Jim Acosta's question.
All journalists at this point must realize they are all in the same boat, and that this is a president that is going to attack the truth tellers. And so everyone has to have everybody else's back. And I was just noticing on MSNBC, you know, coming to the defense of CNN. And I was nice to see that this is not a competitive thing at this moment.
Fox as well.
I'm sure Fox. I'm sure they have. Yes.
Yeah. And the Wall Street Journal. Yep. And right.
Yeah. Well, that's the way it should be. And because the only way we're going to deal with a president who, what's the PolitiFact number? 84% of his statements are either half true or not true at all. I mean, it's just some outrageous number.
Right.
That's why we need you. That's why you have to do your job. The average person, people watching this at home right now, don't have, obviously, the means. I mean, they have social media, which is great, but if journalists don't do their job, then this is what we're going to be stuck with. And that press conference was so out there, the whole of it, not just the part about CNN, but just saying off the cuff, yeah, it was offered $2 billion this week.
$2 billion deal in Dubai or whatever it was.
Yeah. I mean, it would be. If you said that, if you began the show tonight with, by the way, folks, I
got a big offer from
$2 billion
from Fox News or MS, but I didn't take it because I love CNN.
And he goes, I could do the presidency and the Trump organization. There's nothing illegal about it. I could do both, but I'm just going to do the presidency. And then he goes, Trump organization, by the way, great organization.
Yeah.
It's like, it's the weirdest combination of a narcissistic 5-year-old, which is kind of redundant because most 5-year-olds are all about themselves. And Buddy Hackett.
What's interesting, I think, is that he says most people don't care about his tax returns, most people don't care about his business conflicts, but the actual polls do show that people do care. If you look at voters and registered voters, I think it's upwards of 70% care about tax returns. They care about conflicts of interest. It's just sort of the zealots that are really far, and I don't even want to say they're right, because it's not necessarily left versus right when it comes to Donald Trump.
Right.
It's just sort of Trump zealots.
Correct. Even Richard Nixon famously said, the American people have a right to know if their president is a crook, and I am not a crook. People do care about these things. It's the more he says they don't, the more he believes what he's saying, the more he's setting himself up. How long is this presidency going to last? Has Vegas started running a line on this before his either retirement, a resignation, or impeachment? I mean, really, how much longer can he go on?
I don't know.
Like
I don't know. I think that he can probably last as long as he wants to last. If he does a good job, I think the American people will be on his side.
Well, let me say something good about the Republicans then. They won't allow that. If he takes it, if he crosses, there's going to be a line. You know, you have a malignant narcissist in public office. And not just him. We've seen him in Albany. You've seen him around the country. Whenever you have a narcissist that's got power, they break the law. And he will break the law, and he'll break it more than once. And at some point, the Republicans in Congress will say, I've had it.
Carl Bernstein compared not the necessarily breaking of the law, because there's no breaking of laws now. There's just questions about possibility of conflicts of interest and so on. And his treatment of the media. He said it's very similar to the way Nixon treated the media. He made it about the media rather than his own conduct. But there's one thing, I got to take a break, but I want to talk to you about Hillary Clinton. Now there's going to be an investigation into Comey's handling of that, the FBI's handling of Hillary Clinton's emails before the election. I'll talk to you about that on the other side of this break.
Okay, great.
This is CNN Breaking News.
Welcome back. Breaking news. Multiple U.S. officials telling CNN FBI Director James Comey and President-elect Donald Trump had a one-on-one conversation at last week's briefing. This is CNN Tonight. I'm Don Lemon. During that conversation, Comey briefed Trump on the two-page synopsis of unsubstantiated claims that Russia may have compromising information on him. And in the midst of this tumultuous transition, a review announced today of the handling of the Hillary Clinton email investigation. And meanwhile, President Barack Obama leaves his vice president speechless. Well, not for long. A surprise Presidential Medal of Freedom for Joe Biden in the final days of the Obama administration. You have to see it. Well, let's get right to Academy Award-winning director Michael Moore back with me now, and we're going to talk about what I just mentioned in the open. The Justice Department announcing it's launching a probe into the FBI's investigation of Hillary Clinton's private email server. What do you think they'll find here, and is it too little, too late?
Well, we don't know what they'll find, obviously. I don't know. All my contacts within the FBI have dried up. Did you hear what I just said?
Yeah.
All right.
Go on.
I'm still on the air. Okay,
yeah,
good.
You're on the air.
Listen, obviously this had a huge impact in the final week of the election. It's not the only thing, though, and so I'm glad there's this investigation, but I think that Democrats are doing themselves a disservice if they just focus on the Comey thing and not on all the other reasons this happened. It's disgraceful, if I could use a Donald Trump word, that twice in 16 years the Democrats have won the popular vote and somehow lost the Electoral College. That they would let this happen again, that nobody did the math, nobody thought this out, everybody knew what the law was, that Hillary didn't go to Wisconsin for, what, 7 months? You know, these sorts of things.
It's her own fault, and it's Democrats' own fault, you said, in a majar way. But I want you to look at this.
Yeah, but yes, this had something to do with it, though.
Yes. All right, good. Let's talk about that. These are the polls, and these are CNN poll of polls, which means it's a number of different polls, a snapshot of where the race stood nationally. On February 28th, the day James Comey released his letter on the Hillary Clinton investigation, October 28th, released his letter on the Hillary Clinton investigation. Hillary Clinton led Donald Trump by 6 points, 47-41. On November 5th, including polls taken after the Comey letter dropped, her lead was cut by half to just 3 points. Democrats say Comey was the major or a major factor in Hillary Clinton's loss. You agree with that?
Yeah, I think he was a show there. She went down 1 point. He went up.
Well, it's just 3 points, but go on.
Right, but I'm saying that here's what I think. I don't think people all of a sudden decided we're going to vote for Hillary. I'm now going to vote for Trump. I think what it did was it depressed the vote for Hillary, and a lot of people just threw their hands up and said, I'm not voting, I'm staying home. And it energized certain people who maybe weren't that excited about Trump, but said, okay, I've heard enough of this. I don't want another 8 years of Clinton-rama. So, you know, I'm going to go out and vote for Trump.
Is it going to matter? Because is it too late to have another probe into this? Because after January 20th, can't he just shut it down?
Well, he could. What would that look like for him? No, it's not too late.
He cares.
It doesn't matter. The American people care. I mean, if they don't, and if people who voted for Hillary don't rise up and raise a ruckus over this, and if it turns out that there was something funny going on here, that the people within the FBI knew that Comey was, I mean, the fact that he would release that information, but not the fact that there was this other information about the Russian hacking and this other stuff. It really, if you were an outside observer of this, you would say he was playing one certain side in favor of them. And everybody should be outraged by this and not sit back and take it. But of course, liberals and Democrats are very used to going, oh, geez, we lost. Oh. Not the other side.
Yeah.
If he'd won by 3 million popular votes, believe you me, you and I'd be having a different discussion tonight.
Because when I say, well, you think he cares, because he does things, he does what he wants to do. He's going to do. And he has said, I don't want to hurt her. And that's why I'm saying, do you think he cares? He may just say, you know what, it doesn't really matter right now.
But he cares what people think about him. He cares deeply what people think. I mean, there's a terrorist incident in Europe, and 5 hours later, he's tweeting about Alec Baldwin and Saturday Night Live. He cares a lot about.
And you've been talking about accountability here from the American people. I want to play, this is just another moment. It's from the press conference yesterday with Donald Trump. Here it is.
The only one that cares about my tax returns are the reporters, okay? They're the only ones. But no, I don't think so. I won. I mean, I became president. No, I don't think they care at all. I don't think they care at all.
Is that, do you think people care at all about accountability? He said he's winning, and is this sort of his?
It's just about winning.
I don't have to
We're
release
Americans.
my tax return.
Right. It's just about winning.
Is that free?
I won. People don't care, right? That his opinion of us, his fellow Americans, that we don't care about accountability. We don't care about honesty. We don't care about the fake news that he started in 2011. By making up this, and remember, he had intelligence, he had sources. Remember this? He was quoting some nefarious, unattributable source that he had that he knew Obama was not an American citizen. He started this whole thing, and if he thinks we don't care, I think he's in for a big surprise, because the majority of Americans did not want him. Not just the 3 million difference between Hillary and him. There's another 7 million that voted Green and Libertarian. They also said they didn't want Donald J. Trump as their president. That's over 10 million people who voted that didn't want him as president. He should care. If he doesn't care, he should care. He should care deeply. And I'm glad that you and other journalists are not going to stop doing your job. Stay on the story. It's an important story. And his whole thing. Watching Anderson last night on this network was just beautiful. It was like, and Kellyanne, what's happened to her? I mean, it's just amazing. But Anderson would not let up. That is the job here at CNN and all the other networks. You cannot let up. The American people are pretty upset at how Trump got into this and was not at the beginning treated in the way he should have been treated. Got to say things. Got to phone into shows from bed. And would you ever let me be on the show from bed?
Depends on if you're running for president, I might let you.
First of all, get that thought out of your head. But second of all,
if you're running for president, I might let you do it.
Really? Yes, don't. If I ever run for president, don't ever let me phone in from bed. Don, how's it going, Don? I'm in my gold-plated bed. No, this is the media fell down on the job at the beginning, not doing it now. This is important that everybody does their job. The American people are counting.
Listen, I agree with you, and I think that's for the state. And as you know, I know it's going to be hard for people to believe because they just don't. I'm not a partisan person. I'm neither a Democrat nor a Republican. I don't believe in. I'm registered as an independent. I'm not registered with either one. I think they're all politicians, right? And they all work for us, and they all do what they have to do to be politicians. And I understand people like Kellyanne Conway and other folks, when they come on here, it's their job to spin. It's not their job to lie to the American people, but it's their job to spin. And that part is very frustrating. But also, I have to push back and tell you that if Hillary Clinton had called from bed, from Chappaqua, or from wherever she was, running to be the leader of the free world into this show, and she wanted some airtime to talk about issues that were important to the American people, I would have taken her call and put her on as well.
With a doctor's note.
And we,
with a doctor, if she had pneumonia and she was in bed,
but
with proof.
And we asked every single one of them to do it, and they said no. And you know who said yes? Donald J. Trump.
Mm-hmm. That what? That
and
he
so
was,
that's not his fault.
That what?
That others were not on the air when he was.
Right, but yes, but if you're running for president, you should have to show up. How do you conduct an interview with somebody?
I don't disagree with you.
You don't disagree?
I don't disagree.
No, and by the way, let's remember the historic night. If I was teaching journalism, I would pull up the tape. I can't remember the date, but I was watching you. It was 10:45 p.m. and you were in I don't want to call it a brawl, but you were doing your job as a journalist, and Kellyanne Conway did not like what you were doing.
I know exactly what it was.
You know what I'm talking about?
It was the night he gave a speech in, I think it was in Minnesota or Minneapolis or somewhere, and he gave a speech on race.
Okay.
And she proceeded to tell me that the speech was not about race and not about African Americans.
Right.
But what she didn't tell us, and this is the
audience.
first time I'm saying this on the air, is that she was invested in that speech. It probably had written some of it. And the next day she was going to be the campaign manager. So she
knew that while she was sitting here.
She knew that while she was sitting here, but we didn't know that.
Wow, because she got up like she had been somehow maligned by you.
Yeah, of course.
And in fact, you were doing your job, and then the next morning she's the campaign manager.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, that was an interesting.
People at home don't know that though.
Well, they do now because I was on here as your confessor, and you were able to.
Well, that's the honor. I'm just telling the truth. The truth is the truth. Yeah.
More of that, right? Because as they said, I don't know if you knew, but it said the media and different people knew about this story, the unsubstantiated story.
Yeah.
Everybody, that's been around town for a long time.
But what happens is when people come on, and I'm not just saying her, but anyone, anyone, whether it's Democrat, Republican, or whatever, and when they come on and they don't tell the American people the truth, and they continue to sidestep questions, it doesn't help the audience or the viewer to even have them on because it's just more misinformation, and it doesn't help. So it doesn't behoove anyone to even have them on anymore, I think. That's how I feel about it.
Wow. So what are you going to do now?
Well, nothing. Just continue to do what I do.
No, I mean in terms of these guests that come on, and they just come on here and they look you straight in the eye, and they know what they're saying isn't really the truth.
We tell them it's not the truth. That's all we can do.
You have to do that.
Yeah.
You have to say that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're getting me in trouble, but I like it.
No, I could get you in more trouble if you have 30 more seconds, because I'd like to say something in Donald Trump's behalf, in favor of him. Can I have the 30 seconds?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, the unsubstantiated report, which we are not going to discuss here on CNN because, I too have been a victim of BuzzFeed. So I get why you didn't link to them. But the story that everybody's wondering about, and I'm not going to discuss it here, but Trump, I mean, it's American, by not talking about it, it's made it even more salacious in some ways. That it's been portrayed as a sex story. It's not a sex story. If anything, it is a story about...
Well, we don't want to go into the details.
I'm not going to go into any details. I'm just saying that it's something a 12-year-old prankster would come up with an idea, if it's even true. Yeah. And to his favor, to be respectful of him as a human being, nothing should be reported about Donald Trump that isn't true.
Yes, I agree.
And the only reason that CNN reported the existence of this story is because we need to know if the person who's going to sit in the Oval Office could potentially be blackmailed, or for them to have something on him.
Well, that's why the intelligence people did what they did.
And that's why you did what you did.
And we did no different reporting than what WikiLeaks. We reported about WikiLeaks, but not the specifics of what they were saying. And then now look at where WikiLeaks, and if we had not reported on WikiLeaks, look, we would have been remiss in our duty as journalists.
And in the same way that you reported for 5 years, Trump repeating over and over again that our president wasn't an American citizen.
Thank you.
God bless you. Please be well.
We'll be right back.